Good Monday morning. Woo, it's good to be back on the airwaves. This is the first live show. Well, it's live for those here at Twitch, but first show of 2025. Welcome to LoreForged, everybody, the podcast for Ashes of Creation, and we are your hosts. Sonny's out tonight. He may hop in later, but right now he's out announcing Bruce Buffer style swim meet. I know. Cash is here though.
I am. Cheers. I was cheersing you.
Oh, you salute. Yeah.
Yes, salute. We're cheersing to phase 2 and all the debauchery that's taken place over the last.
I'm going to drink some more for the last week and a half. Dude, we're going to talk about that. And that kind of leads, like right into it. Like today on the show, we're talking phase 2. We have another bit kind of planned. But I'll be honest, the more and more the week kind of went on, we kind of came together and were like, hey, this is probably the focus is phase 2. Like if we get to something else, cool. But we got a lot to talk about. Because this is the first show that we've had since phase 2 actually launched, I think.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
It is because we had the Christmas holiday and phase 2 launched the weekend before pretty much everybody went off for the holiday. And everybody, I would assume, well, maybe not anybody in our chat, but the rest of the world probably enjoyed some family time. I had little split moments of family time because we've just been playing the game like absolute madness.
Yeah.
The past 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I know I have the last 3 days, especially. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun. We had that week off, got to hang out with the family, Christmas, of course, and just hanging out with friends, and we did a lot of Discord stuff. We closed our Discord down. That happened while we were gone. Like we closed the public side down, so now it's a patron and guild member only Discord. You want to talk about that? Should we address that?
Yeah, I think that it definitely deserves an explanation. We were noticing that because normally, like when we have Discords for shows that we do, we normally have open Discords, and it's been fine to manage. Even thousands of people being in it, it's been absolutely fine to manage. This Discord, I don't think we're quite at 1,000 yet, but we had a bunch of people in there that we noticed that through managing the guild and managing all the things, because let's be real, and we've talked about it before, managing a guild in Ashes of Creation is a completely different beast. There's a lot of politics, a lot of, I don't want to say back alley deals because that makes it sound shady, but that's still kind of cool. There's a lot of communication between guilds and other communities, other folks that are in the space, especially when there's a lack of servers. There's not like tons and tons of servers. There's only a few. So there's a lot of coordination that goes on for guild leaders. And we were noticing that some of our folks on the public side didn't have access to the guild channels, which is where we were most of the time, especially when we were online and in voice chat. And we felt that we were ignoring those folks. So we started to see a trickle of people like showing up and just going like, where the hell is everybody? And we're like, we need to either fix that or we need to shut down the public side and just completely concentrate on our guild. And it was a very difficult decision.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about it, and ultimately I think it was the right choice for us. That way we can fully concentrate on our show, our patrons, and what's most important is our guild community. So we ended up doing that. So we made an announcement, and we, I don't even want to say it was the Great Purge, but we did purge a lot of folks who were not in our guild, aside from some guild ambassadors and content creators and some special guests like Planet Dork. He's with us still. So he's not in our guild. He's just he's an honored guest of our Discord. So
yeah, it's it definitely wasn't easy to do that thing because we're people first. I think that I know I can speak for you when I say this. And Sonny as well. We are absolutely people first, guild or game second. So at the end of the day, if something may not be going well in the game, like that's not our focus first. Our focus is people first. And it really just didn't feel right to be, you know, we could not give that experience that we really wanted to. From a standpoint, from the quality that we wanted. And so, you know, having to, you know, just kind of lock everything down was different for us. And so I'm glad that we did that, though, because it does allow us to focus. And I think that, and this is not truly a shameless plug, but we knew we wanted to keep it going for the patrons as well, because that's something that they have that we've offered for quite some time and something that they pay for. And also in light of that, so since we no longer have the public side, of course, yeah, you have the Patreon, but we're doing the free stuff on the Patreon as well. So like we started as of last week or this week posting articles. Sonny wrote, I think 2 at this point. I just put one up yesterday regarding phase 2 in the community. And so all people can go there and see the stuff. And in lieu of closing down the Discord also, or the public side of the Discord, the other thing that we did was we decided to not have a website. We were going to build a website and flesh all of that out and really make it its own thing. And ultimately we just felt that the juice wasn't worth the squeeze for us in regards to not only bandwidth, but also for the guild, keeping everybody within Discord, because Discord is our home base. And so we've decided to do some internal things to kind of help better facilitate that instead of extend out to a website. So,
well, one of the things that we've always talked about, that kind of one of the mottos that we've always stood by is you don't ever half-ass multiple things, you whole-ass one thing.
That's right.
And the most important thing here is our community and our guild. So that's why we made the decision to do that. Again, tough decision, but we're here. We're dedicated to our community and to our guild, and that's why we're here.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And so, yeah, to everyone who's here, you know, it was, let's see, December 5th. I think it was the 5th, right? That phase 2 started. And so here we are back again on the first episode of the new year, on the first episode talking about phase 2. And really with phase 2, there was some things that we're going to definitely discuss. This starts off at basically from the servers, when the servers dropped. And then, of course, we have the new year that were added. And several other things that, we're going to definitely be covering here live on the show. But Cash, my man, what do you think, dude? Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to talk about it?
I think we should dive right into it.
Okay. All right. So phase 2. I have the feeling of, Cash, you taught me this a long time ago, and I know it now every time that you do it to me, because you do it every time to me. But was it the sandwich method? The sandwich method? I know when you're teeing that up whenever you talk to me, you know that, right?
Yeah, it's a thing in leadership and conflict resolution when you're speaking to subordinates. Not that I'm speaking to a subordinate at all.
Yeah. Well, now that I'm under you and subordination. No, that's not right. Now that I'm a subordinate, that's kind of the method I want to take for tonight, because that's kind of what I have. You know, with phase 2, we did see some cool things, right? We saw some of the archetypes come over. We saw the Dunir launch, which, oh, buddy, those Dunir, that was chef's kiss. Perfect. Just perfect. I loved what we're starting with, like the foundation that they can build off of with Dunir. I don't know what you thought, dude. When I saw those Dunir, whoo. Yeah, that was good. Yeah,
they nailed them. I really think that they nailed the dwarves. It's really cool to see the different armor styles. And granted, some of the armor styles aren't working correctly. Like we're still getting some pink gloves and some pink back pieces and stuff that show up, and they're still having to do some work on it. It was actually pretty funny. We had one of our folks, Tomac, is a fighter, and he got a really good drop of a back piece in the dungeon, in one of the dungeons we were in. I think we were in the Forge. It was a good one, and he got it, and he was all excited about it, and he put it on, and it was pink, and he was like, "Oh oh no. And then 10 minutes later, I got the same drop and I put it on my Kalar and it was perfect. Like just looked awesome on him. So, but I think overall it has been it's been really cool to see a couple of new races come in. The Valoon are also in. They look fantastic. One of our bards was Flaris was really excited about rolling his Valoon, and he looks so good. So good. Just, and I really take a lot of time, like when we're in between pulls and, we're sitting getting mana, and I take time to look at other characters and how people, built their faces and spec their characters out and stuff, and the character creator. And I've been very impressed with the way that the character renders are, like just super happy. Like you can see the progression as the phases move forward. You can see the progression from being able to like zoom all the way in and see just like the backside of your character, and you just see the backside of their eyeballs. And now like I see the glistening on the back of the bald head of my dude.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's my dude. He's bald.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's just great. So I was really happy to see the dwarves, happy to see the jump is in there now. I know the female renders of the Dunir do not have the jump yet, but I'm sure that's something that's going to get fixed. I'm sure there's a lot of things that are going to get fixed in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, buddy. You're not kidding. Yeah, maybe we should just talk about it. So like leading up to phase 2, and I put this out on the Patreon article, that anyone can go read over at our Patreon. And leading up to phase 2 at around 5:30 Eastern in the evening, let's kind of rewind the clocks a little bit. I think it was 5:34, 5:38 specifically Eastern. We get a post the night before, one server. Everyone's getting merged into one server. Immediately, all chaos, just for lack of another word, broke loose, right? Like everyone,
pun intended.
Yeah, like everything just insane. Guildmasters are firing off DMs like machine guns on a battlefield. You had alliances being formed, and then fast forward a few hours, and then all of a sudden, nope, you're getting two servers, or one server with another one on standby, right? Okay. All right. So it's kind of like, okay, well, that's a thing. And so then the following day, servers launch. It was a little rough. It was a little tough getting in. And then when you finally got in, line hold, kind of what we had discussed, the last episode, we talked about it. Buddy, that was tough. That was tough to get out of line hold.
Yeah, it was tough. And I think, to just rewind a little bit, there was that initial holy crap moment where they said, hey, we're going to lump everybody into one server. And we were like, okay, like I get that this is it's changing some plans. But we understood why they were doing it. And I think why they were doing it was to get a good solid stress test on the server. And they knew that was going to happen. I don't think that we talked about it on our last show, where we talked about it at some point. Nobody came to work that day and went, let's see how we can screw over the player base. That is not what happened. But so much stuff went on in the background. And
my gosh,
I think
it was chaos.
A lot of the fear was that that's a lot of the guilds from another server from Resna were going to come in and just try and rule a roost. So I think there was a lot of shucking and jiving about, okay, let's make a plan. So we had some loose alliances put together with honestly some guilds that we would have never thought that we would have, that we really would have allied with or would have come to us for an agreement. And so we were able to build some relationships there. So I don't think the whole thing was bad. Right at the end, like right before, they decided to say, nope, we're going to spin up that second server. So what we ended up with was we still had more people on our server, but there were less than it would have been if they'd have lumped everybody together. But a lot of guilds probably already had plans and said, nope, we're just going to stay and we're going to go to Vyra. And what ended up happening was as soon as you logged in, like you had to get out of Lionhold, like as soon as possible. Like a lot of people were just bypassing the initial quest to get your mount and just getting the hell out of there. And I ended up running into that bug where you guys had all already started. I rolled my character and then I crashed, and then I was able to get back in. No, I take that back. I rolled my character and then crashed, and then all you guys started getting in, and then I was locked in that super slow queue that kept counting down. And I was so afraid to get out of that queue. But I think what happened was I sat in the queue for like an hour and a half and listened to everybody leveling. And I was just like, everybody's leveling. I'm stuck in queue. And then I think you got on, made your character, logged right in. And I was in queue. I was like, what in the hell is going on? So I dumped the queue, restarted, and I got right in. I was like, okay, so there's a queue bug. And that was frustrating right off the bat because initially I lost like an hour and a half of gameplay. Wah, right? Like I know, but as soon as the game launches, like you want to be in there with your friends and you want to get leveling, you want to get moving. So I was a little frustrated with that right off the bat. I think in this phase, despite a lot of the good stuff that we've talked about or that we're going to talk about too, and there are a lot of really good things. There was a lot of progress made with this phase, a lot of really beautiful things, a lot of really pretty kick-ass things that we can see are in active development, but have definitely progressed from phase one. They're there, like the desert, right? And no, I'm not going to get into a whole like complaint that some other content creators, maybe not content creators anymore, for Ashes were complaining about like the desert and like, well, you showed us this and then we got this, but it's like, wait a minute. There was a ton of progression in the desert from the first time that we saw the desert to now. There was a ton of stuff, and there were a ton of freaking mobs down there that we all went down and grinded. But despite the progression it's been pretty rocky. It's been pretty rocky with them leaving the servers up. They're going to be coming back to a ton of data because a lot of those folks were off for the holidays. Right. And I can just imagine the amount of data that they've been able to gather over the last week and a half over the holiday. They're going to come back to a lot of work to be done.
Yeah. And honestly, I would not blame them and I know they probably won't do this, but I wouldn't blame them if they kept the following test session. So the next 5 days, whenever that 5-day window is, because now it's technically moved to 5 days a week that it's going to be open. I wouldn't be shocked if they pushed it back a couple days just to help process more of that data. Like when you talk about coming back to a lot of data and you start talking about, like guilds from Resna coming in and not just that, but just other guilds as well and other players, I can't help but feel as though when I log in, it's like watching Ark Survival Evolve the MMO or Rust. Remember that when we played that 10 years ago as a gaming community? Rust the MMO. The tactics, the brutal toxicity and tactics I'm seeing at the onset of this alpha 2, phase 2, has been nothing short of just like honestly and what I put in my article is I walked away feeling numb and just disappointed, truthfully, because of what is going on in the server so early on. Just awful things that people are saying, awful things that people are doing. Incredible amounts of toxicity is currently going on. And I'm not trying to paint like a bad picture. I just want to be like transparent. Like this is what's happening. Just rampant toxicity has been happening. Training people. I heard word yesterday, level 25s were training mobs into people who were like 10 to 13 over by Highwayman Hills just to kill them because they knew they couldn't do anything about it. It's stuff like that's been going on. over the last 2 weeks while Intrepid has had their much deserved vacation, much deserved break. They worked their butt off all 2024. You know, enjoy that time, right? I know some people are abroad on their trips, and you know, good on them. That's amazing, well deserved. And but on the servers, this is what's been happening. I'm watching our hostile action report channel daily just fill with more things going on, more people doing more and more things. I'm seeing people, they exploited, remember this? There's guilds on our server that purposely exploited the ward decking system.
Yep.
Which ultimately funded them in major ways. And now these people are mayor over a node because of it. Like, it's just, there's a lot going on that's not healthy for the server or community to me. And it feels, and I'm passing it to you. This feels to me vastly different from a communal experience, vastly different than phase 1 was. Because right now, toxicity is rampant.
Yeah, it is. And you know, we're not going to like put this on any one guild. There's a few. And you know who you are. You know the things that you're doing. And if that's your gameplay loop, then that's fine. I'm fine with the risk versus reward. I'm fine with a guild being stronger than others and a guild having leveled faster than others. And how they leveled faster than others, it blows me away because I know that we are doing it the right way. We are working hard to do it the right way. And we are just now, a lot of our folks are just now cresting 25. But when I look at like day 3 and 4 and 5 and I'm seeing 25s, it really makes me wonder how those guilds are doing it without exploiting something. And I'm not making any accusations, but I'm just saying that it seems a little impossible for guilds to do things that quickly without exploiting something. I don't have any proof. Am I interested in finding proof? No, not interested. But it just seems a little bit weird to watch our guild do it the right way and folks truly earn it. And it makes me wonder like how those things happen. There was an interesting message in chat here, and I want to bring it up. JR Lobster says, I don't know, man. Vira is very nice. Where I come from, Resna, people will steal your shoes. And I completely get that. And I want to thank you for that comment, because I think what we experienced in phase 1 was a server that was really working together. I mean, we still had some guilds with some dickheads in it. Don't get me wrong. In phase 1, they were still there.
Oh yeah.
And again, you know who you are. But at the same time, I think that we had a lot of guild cooperation and a lot of people who were getting the feel for the world, playing the game, enjoying themselves, being, you know, as kind as they could, but still taking advantage of the systems that they could that are intended for the game. Now it seems like a lot of these guilds are taking advantage of the systems that are not quite fully in place and are not intended for the game to be at launch. And that systems, I'm not even going to say systems, that is things like the mob training. Mob training is a severe issue that needs to be addressed. And it sounds like it's going to be, but it needs to be addressed sooner than later. Otherwise, I fear that Intrepid is going to lose some very good testers.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. It's the training has absolutely become a major issue. The amount of time that it takes for them to leash, truthfully, or the distance, really, when it comes down to the training that they will leash, the mob will leash to from their original position, is quite formidable. And so training, I think, because of that, is probably a main issue with that. I think when it comes back to, gosh, where do I start? You talk about testers leaving. That's the fear that I have, truthfully, because this is not even close to the communal experience that we had. And yes, we had those guilds, right? We made a whole server lore series out of it, which they gave us content. It was great, right? But yeah, like it stemmed from that. And, but at the end of the day, like what we're seeing now is just toxic behavior, overabundance of toxic behavior. And as a result, I'm already seeing fall off of testers. The atmosphere and vibe currently in phase 2 is it's an atmosphere not about testing. It's not the focus. Right now, the focus seems to be taking advantage of every single exploit repeatedly, daily. And people in chat, it's brutal. It's very, very brutal. And I would hate to lose the good testers over it because we need those people. That's why we're here, is to test. It's not to play a game. It's to find that exploit, report it, and not do it again. That's what you're supposed to do. That's not what's being done repeatedly.
Yeah, and I still think that what's happening is it's a phenomenon that it's the Ashes phenomenon. It's what we talked about
Ashes effect
a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, the Ashes effect that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. And that is the fact that the game has a layer of polish on it already that seemingly is making this seem like a launch, like a soft launch.
Mm-hmm.
When in reality, it's a test. So in a lot of ways, it is good that some of these guilds are exploiting some of these things and screwing with others, as frustrating as it may be for folks like us who are trying to do it the right way. It's a good amount of information for Intrepid to find so they know how to close those holes. Because there are a bunch. There is a ton. I've experienced more lag and more crashes in some of these areas, and it's probably due to the fact that I am in a lot of the areas where the grind spots are, and the most popular grind spots. Those are just the areas that we are right now because everybody's still trying to level. I'm almost 24, so I'm getting close, but we're just in those areas where there's a lot of people. So yeah, there's going to be a lot more propensity for crashes. But one of the things that I'm utilizing, one of the things that I'm finding now is that my CPU is utilizing damn near 100%. And then I get when I crash, it's because, it is really utilizing so much of my CPU power in some of those spots.
Mm-hmm.
But those logs for crashes, and when you make reports, your logs are going to help them close those loopholes. That is going to do nothing but make it better. So I guess what I'm trying to say is as annoying as it is what some of these guilds are exploiting and doing to us and making us super frustrated, it's still going to provide the data that Intrepid needs to make improvements. Now, where the true frustration is going to come in is if in the ensuing weeks, if they don't fix some of these problems. And again, if some of these things are not fixed, that are not intended for the game, and some of these guilds with, unlimited amounts of shitheads in there, they are going to continue to exploit these things, and it's going to continue to frustrate people, and people are just going to step away from the game if a lot of these things are not sewn up. So that's why when I got word that they were going to fix the mob training issue, it made me much, much happier, because I'm sorry, you should not be able to train a mob from an area where you failed to properly pick the amount of mobs that you could handle. So you decide to run out. And I'm not saying that we've never done it, because we've certainly pulled way too many mobs and have had to run out. But we make an active effort to try and run those things around. And if there's just no way for us to run them around, we say we're sorry, and we try and help kill those mobs. Other people could give a crap less, and they'll run their mobs right into your group, and you will either have to run out yourself, or you're just going to wipe if you can't handle those mobs. And I don't think that's an intention for the game. I don't think that that's where the game should be. And if those things aren't sewn up, they will lose testers.
Sonny Ravencourt has joined us on the show without a tie, and he's coming in hot after being Bruce Buffer at a swim meet. How are you, buddy?
I am well. How are you? I heard the first part of the show on the car ride on the way back to the house, so it's interesting.
Sonny,
it's a little different show, isn't it?
It is. Yeah,
we're spirited tonight. We're spirited.
We're in the bowels of discussing the status and the state, really, of Phase 2.
Oh, bowels might be an appropriate word.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yep. We're talking about the butthole of Phase 2 tonight, everybody.
And you know what? You're not wrong. Oh, I just, Cash, I hear you talk about bugs. I also, do you think the focus right now, though, is, and Sonny, I'm going to go to you, because I'm just going to throw you in the fire.
Let's do it.
Do you think the focus of what the team needs to fix right now is bugs or community?
Oh, bugs. I'm going to say bugs because I think that a lot of the gripes, I feel like if you asked like one of the people that was really loud and full of salt, I guess would be high saline content type of people, like, what do you want? They would say, fix the bugs, right? And I think that honestly, right now there are definitely some things that need to be fixed in order to just generally stabilize stuff. The servers have been Buggy just doesn't describe it right. Like, it's rubber banding a lot. You can't ride your horse for longer than 2 minutes without it hitting sort of a wall. And sometimes when people are hitting those walls, they're getting disconnected. They're getting a lot of stuff like that. And so I think that honestly, as much as I would love for the community to be sort of reset and refocused, I think that some of the major bugs, not all the little things, right? But like the big things, the things that people are just not able to go a while without crashing, those kind of things that's a priority. You just have to put those ahead of some of the other things, despite the fact that you are not wrong, that the quality of life right now is pretty poor, that the community is kind of eating itself. And that definitely does need to be addressed, and sooner than later. But I would say bugs first. Okay.
Yeah, I totally get and agree with that. I keep coming back to the feel of the server whenever I'm in the game right now. It just feels so wildly different, and I don't necessarily mean in a great way. Just from what I'm seeing people doing. And I think it comes back to being kind of what we said at the top of the show, Cash, was people first, game second, And when you're seeing people like, okay, like this stuff's happening to people, and I'm watching the hostile action report, which, by the way, those don't know what that is. Whenever any of y'all do anything to our guild, it makes it on that list. So we know
you're famous,
your name, what guild you are. You make the list. And so we know where it happened at. Or it's our guild members. And so when I'm watching that action report just, just go up, I'm just like,
yeah.
Oh, okay, it's going to be that kind of phase. All right.
Yeah, it is. And honestly, like we are, that was put in place for us, for our guild to be able to track trends. And trust me, we are tracking trends.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I think like right now it's we talked about it a little bit earlier, where you had guilds that leveled to 25 and got full sets of Carfin gear at ungodly speed, unnatural speed, possibly exploitive speed.
Possibly.
You don't think war decking had anything to do that, do you?
And that it blows me away that has happened, and especially when you have some of those guilds giving away some of that or selling some of that gear in global chat, which indicates to us, which, you know, we were talking about in one of our big groups that we had going earlier. We were talking about when you're at the point that you're selling that gear, you've decked out your whole guild. And the way that you've decked out your whole guild is by taking advantage of training mobs into others and letting them die and stealing their glint and getting all of the mobs for yourself faster than other guilds can do so. Like if you have run Carfin in the last week, you have seen what has been happening in there. A bunch of guilds, again, shall remain nameless because you flat out don't deserve the fame that you would get to be mentioned on our show. So you can suck it. But we're dealing with a bunch of these guilds. And again, you know who you are on our server that have taken to doing those tactics. Just insane stuff that you would not do to another human being if you weren't hiding behind a keyboard. And it does get a little bit frustrating. Although I will say this, I'm insanely proud of the folks in Black Talon Trading for taking it on the chin and just saying, you know what, this is a battle that we will fight later. And it is one that we will fight later. But we're at the point to where we leveled correctly. We leveled slower than some of these other guilds, and we're willing to just wait it out. So we don't yell back. We don't scream stuff at them. We don't get pissed in chat. We're just biding our time. I mean, for our moment, and we will have it. But it has been a very frustrating experience to get on your grind, get in a great spot. You're starting to make progress, and then somebody comes and ruins that progress, and now all of a sudden, you know, you have 200,000 XP debt that you have to work off. It gets super frustrating. If there's any feedback I could give to any developer, if anyone is listening from Intrepid right now, please cut that XP debt down by 30%. Bring that back. Because when I die once and I go up to negative 15,000 experience debt, and then on top of that, I've got my stats are basically, I don't know the exact word off the top of my head, not debuffed, but you know, like they're not as great anymore. Like it's like, hey, what the heck? Because some guy trained a 600 mobs to me, you know, like what the heck is that? You know, like it just, I think I don't mind the XP debt. I don't. However, I think that needs to, maybe rein that in just a little bit. Maybe 30%. Yeah. Sonny, you had an interesting story that you texted us about the other night. And can you tell the story about when you're looking for treasure map? You're doing your treasure map?
Oh,
Brian?
God. Yeah. It's frustrating. I try to suppress these kind of things, right? Like that's how you do it, right? You just bottle everything inside. You never let things out. Like that's healthy, isn't it? So I'm on the eastern side of the map down by New Ayla off the water. There's a nice little area there with some goblins. And I was all excited about treasure maps because I could actually do them at that time. I can no longer do them, but apparently that is something that they're going to work on. That's an obvious known bug at this time. And so they literally told us like, go just hoard treasure maps and you'll get to do all the ones you want once we fix this thing. I'm like, great. So I found these guys and I'm in my own little like area, right? Like there's these little goblins spawn so fast in this area that there's plenty for everyone. I'm in my little area here and I'm doing the thing and I'm concentrating on the goblins, and I did not have, as JB would say, my eyes on a swivel. And it all of a sudden this dude runs right by me and I'm like, oh, it's a dude. And then 9 wolves descend on me and I'm like, crap. And so I like blink out and I'm running, but they're wolves and I can't outrun them. And so I'm desperately trying to get away. And I run like a good long mile and a half, but they get me and I die. And sure enough, this dude called, no, I'm not gonna say his name. This dude comes out and just loots my corpse. Like he was the one that trained things. He's just following right behind the wolves, loots my corpse, takes all my maps. And this is what I'm talking about, right? Like
That's
this
phase 2.
kind of stuff is just phase 2. This didn't happen in phase 1 to me. As a matter of fact, it was like kind of hilarious how opposite of this phase 1 was for me, where I'd have people that would like come by and just like stop what they're doing. They're like, "Hi, you're Sunny. Hi, how's it going?" Like one time somebody like killed me in a totally open war like area in the tropics, and all of his friends were like, "What'd you go and do that for?" And then they gave me some gold and like, "Are you okay?" You know, like dusted me off and gave me a splint and like ushered me along. And I was like, "Oh, it's fine. I'm fine." No. This is the opposite. This story is a microcosm of phase 2 for me.
Yeah.
This kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like people just behaving badly because they can. And I'm sure that like, I don't know if we talked about it already, but I'm sure that like we will talk eventually about what kind of punishment and the severity for this kind of stuff. But like that, I just logged off. Like that's the reaction that you get out of a person who is a normal human being that doesn't want to commit time to living in a toxic environment.
Right.
Is you just shut her down. I just shut it down and I went downstairs and I got a book or I looked at my horse racing thing. I don't know what I did, but I shut the game off.
Yeah.
Right then and there.
Yeah. And that is, Sonny, I'm glad, honestly, you told that story. That is currently the attitude of people in phase 2. And I know Steven is, he set people back to level 1 that were doing something, training mobs into somebody. But I'm going to be honest with you. It's stuff like, I have twofold. Number one, it's stuff like that that's going to deter the testers that we need to play the game that are already just falling off. But also it's going to keep people out from investing into test the game because the environment is terrible with the community right now. It's terrible. I'm sorry. I love Intrepid. I love Ashes of Creation. I love Steven and his vision and everything that they're doing. And this part, this has nothing to do with them. This has to do with the community. People acting terrible. Just terrible. And
yeah, I want to stop in on that point right there because you said what I've been thinking, which is that like it's not about Steven, it's not about the team or anything like that. And Cash, like you can weigh in on this too. To me, it's funny because Intrepid has assembled a team and we have worked with some of these people. Like I interviewed Margaret in like 2015, I think.
Yeah.
So these people have been around the industry for a very long time. They're well-known people and they have assembled a team of good developers and good people. Like we know them. And somehow out of this, in phase 2, they have just cultivated this terrible like transition. And I have some ideas on why like this happened this way, but it is very strange that you have Intrepid, who seems to be filled with good people, and then this, which is just like it's just wild right now.
No, I agree wholeheartedly. Cash, go ahead.
Name another PvP game that's out there right now that people can do the things that they can do in Ashes.
Ark Survival Evolved. No question.
Yeah, right?
And I'm an actual game. MMO.
Well, no, none. And I'll tell you why. Like, well, do you have a follow-up? I don't want to jump on you because I'm just going to jump in.
No, you're fine. But I mean, I think my point makes itself. I mean, I think really the only other one out there right now is Throne and Liberty. And from what people say, it's a pay to win mess. And a lot of people are leaving in droves. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of guilds that are coming from that game into this one. Maybe Black Desert. We have a lot of folks that came over from Black Desert. There's a lot of guilds that have come over from Black Desert. But my point is, I just don't think that there's a lot of other games out there for some of, these, again, sweaty shitheads to come in and be able to get the rocks off. Yeah. Other than Ashes. So they're like $100. I'll pay that to come in here and freaking wreak havoc. And that's what they're doing. And it goes back to my general thing. And it's just terrible. Maybe this is just a get off my lawn moment, but I just think that the human race is inherently evil. I truly do. It's so sad to draw that line in the desert sand, but I just did. Just be better.
Dude, I think it comes back to accountability. Like they're talking about here in chat, you know, like I think that right now there's just a lack of accountability. I know that things are going to be addressed when Steven comes back, but I don't want them reset. I don't even want them banned. I want them sent. Sonny, know where I'm going. And this comes from Chaffee. This is his idea. Send them to an exploiter's island where they can...
Prison Island,
man. GTA did it, and you had to wear a dunce hat the whole time you were there. Like, you know, go there, keep them there. Don't kick them, don't ban them. Let them exploit, find those exploits, so when the game actually comes out, you get everything you need. But for goodness sake, this has to be reset. The community has to find some kind of reset. Because right now, it's just going to get gnarlier, guys, as everyone gets bored when they hit 25. It's going to get worse. We saw that in phase 1. It got worse from a toxicity standpoint, which, by the way, Cash, I'm going to go to you with this. I feel like was way better, was way up here. Like, we're fine up here on phase 1 when it was bored, right? Phase 2, it's already right here. It's way below. I mean, toxicity levels are just, you know, like it's way worse. So it's just going to get worse. Sonny?
Yeah, a couple things. One, Katie brought up a good point when you ask, like, what other MMOs? And Katie's like, it's not really an MMO yet, is it? And she's not wrong. Like, it's missing a lot of the stuff that makes an MMO an MMO. But I am kind of with Tomac on this thing about the human race, like the human race being inherently evil. It is... If the human race was inherently evil, like, we never would have made it to this point, right? The fact is that there are people like this. There are people that, for whatever reason, their baseline is to make other people's lives miserable. And they do exist. And what happens if you give them free reign is that they gain steam, they gain momentum. And you always have to keep that under wraps. That's the human race. The human race is half of the people keeping the other half of the people in line. Like, it just is, right? We have society and we have laws. Why do we have laws if we didn't need them? We need them. And so, like, this is a situation where I think that the punishment needs to be extreme. I'm just like, normally I mean, you guys know me. I'm a little different politically than you guys are, and I'm a little softer around the edges sometimes of stuff like this. But like this, there's just no other choice in my mind other than doing something. Love the prison island idea, love it. But I would also accept just nope. That account is gone. You want to do this again? It's going to cost you another $100, and you better get a new email account.
Yeah. Okay. And don't get me wrong. I'm with you. Some of the situations that I've been in the past week and a half have been like, I'm wishing a lot of things on these people, which is terrible because this is a game, but
actual wolves. I wished actual wolves on that guy.
Do you think, I mean, they paid their money. So as a little bit of devil's advocacy here, do you feel that just because they killed you, and trust me, I've been killed a bunch of times already, do you feel that they deserve a permanent ban from what's going on? Or do you feel that it is something where it is part of the game right now, it's available to do, and if that's part of their gameplay loop, perhaps that's just the way that they are choosing to do it?
JB can follow me on this one. I think that the guy that killed me, no, I'm not going to permanently ban that dude. Okay. That is a mechanic that sucks and I hate it. That he's able to clear me out of a zone by doing that. That is different in my mind. Now, first of all, I would be happy if they, like, I don't know, did like something shorter than that. I don't know, maybe cool him off for a day or something like that. Or maybe reset him like a level or two, you know, stuff like that for just generally being toxic. That is different for me than abusing the war declaration system. That is different for me than killing people at spawn areas after being told don't do this. The kind of stuff that I think gets you to the prison island is when you are abusing a system. They have told you stop abusing this system, and you abuse the system to great benefit. Like systemic abuse for great benefit that is so hard to unravel. You know how hard it is to unravel the server at this point from the damage that's been done?
Oh, it's a mess.
It's near impossible, right?
Mess.
You're talking about like thousands and thousands and thousands of gold and levels and progress and like mayorships and towns and all and caravan runs. Like you can't at some point unwind it without just resetting the whole server. And that's painful for everybody. That is the kind of stuff. So yeah, like the dude that ran the mobs into me. Yes, I would love it if an actual wolf took his ankle off, but like, I'm not going to ban him forever to the prison island.
We just want to send wolves, real wolves.
If I find that dude, though, in real life in an alley, like he's going to take a shot at the title because I was so mad. So mad.
See, no.
Yeah. And I've seen that I've seen it over and over again over the past week and a half. Just really good folks, really good players, really experienced and talented players talking about, I'm probably going to take a break. And it makes me very sad to see, which is why I think for the folks who are truly exploiting and continually exploiting, yes, dump them, because that is an inherent terrible trait in a human being. They cannot follow directions. They're just being spoiled little people. And I completely agree with.
Yeah.
However, the folks who are doing things that are just marginal and not following some direction and making your life difficult, I am 100% on board with a freaking dunce cap and a banish island for a while. That would be hilarious retribution for the folks in the community who are experiencing it all. However, there's situations like today. We ran into a situation today where we were just flat out bested. And that's all it was. And it was a situation with a caravan that we had, and we were just bested. Higher levels, better tactics. We were just bested. To those folks in that particular situation, no, that's part of the game. That's your risk versus reward. It's the folks who are doing the things and exploiting things in the game that aren't intended to be there over and over and over again that I would love to see either on the island with a dunce cap so we can all laugh at them, or just gone.
Yeah. You know, a lot of the things you're saying, truthfully, Crosby agrees in the background.
Crosby's a good boy.
I literally had to mute my mic. This dog only exists for Kelly. Like, he could care less that I am home, but the thought of Kelly coming home, and he's just so excited. So I'll just stay on mute for a second while you go ahead.
No problem. A lot of what's being talked about it's let me scan up in chat, which, by the way, folks, we're streaming live at Twitch. You can come watch these shows live. This is from Tested Weevil. He says, I mean, it is a PvX game, and there will always be those people in games like this, sadly. I want to focus on the portion where he says, like this. When I first logged into Ashes, because I'll be the first to tell you, I'm a huge fan of survival games. Always have been. 7 Days to Die. Rust, the old school Rust, before they redid it. Ark Survival Evolved, which I've mentioned at length. The behaviors that you see in those games are prevalent in Ashes of Creation right now. This is how people act in those games. And what I find so interesting is when Weevil says games like this, one of the first things that stood out to me about Ashes of Creation was you got those vibes on the moment you logged in, that this has some survival aspects to it. Things that players will like to viciously sometimes take advantage of. For instance, training mobs into you. That's a thing in survival games. It happens. Other things as well, taking your stuff, that sort of thing. And so I think a lot of what you see is somewhat of a crossroads, possibly for the first time that we've seen, at least in the last decade, maybe even in the MMO genre as a whole, that you're bringing MMO to the table that now has survival game aspects built into it. And you're kind of at a crossroads with your community, a crossroads with the server, a crossroads with how you're going to handle your community with this sort of thing. And it just has to be dealt with. And I think this may be a first. Cash?
Yeah, and it's funny because I do tend to be like right along the line when it comes to be like, well, part of it is get good, son, right? And the other part of it is, you know, when you're doing things like that over and over again, your name will not be forgotten. Trust me.
No.
Your name will not be forgotten. And that is one of the beauties of a game like this, is that you get to a certain point, everybody's 25. Some people are going to do some crazy stuff and things to irritate others. Other people, I think, like our guild, we're gonna continue to create our own content. But I also believe that when you have guilds doing stuff like that, it is a beautiful system in a game like this where you can recognize a name, and then when those people are looking for a group 3 days later, you've remembered what they've done.
Oh,
and in a game like Warcraft, like you can't do that. You're not going to remember that person because chances are you grouped with them and they came from another server. Like they're gone. They're gone. You'll never see that player again. Not in Ashes, not in Vera. You are definitely going to see that player again. You're definitely going to see that guild tag, and you are going to remember what they did. So I think a lot of it still is a lot of learning how to avoid situations that are going to get you in trouble. And we've done a lot of that. We've employed a lot of tactics in a lot of our own groups. We're able to recognize when the freaking train's coming, we can see it coming, and we know what we need to do as a group to stay away from it. Sometimes you just can't. But the fact that you can recognize the names in this game and you can take actions to avoid that person or to, in some cases, get that person back. It's pretty nice to be able to do that in this game, because trust me, in this phase, we've identified a ton of names, and the whole community, it's not just us. We're not a bunch of Care Bears. Like, we will fight back. But there's a lot of folks that have been spouting off in global chat, just some hellacious stuff. And your name is known and your name is recognized, and the entire server hates you.
Yeah.
So reputation does mean something in this game. And that is an extreme positive about how this game is being built.
I agree. It's like the people you're trolling will not be low level forever. Remember that. You're on top for now, but no one stays king forever. It just doesn't happen. So one day those people will catch up, and one day your butt will get handed to you. It's not if, it's when. Sonny?
Blackthorn says just a really good point, and this will be the last thing I say on this before JB moves on. And some of it is very true, that many of the current methods used to grief players can be resolved by fixing bugs. The fact is that, like, if they fix the training mob thing, then that will alleviate a lot of these kind of situations. It just will. When I was in the middle of town and I was at the market and I looked over and a level 20 came in, declared war on Black Talon 2 or something like that, and then just obliterated a level 6 who was buying copper, right? Like right in the middle of town, declare war, obliterate all the low level guys. The guy rezzed, he tried to get his stuff. He'd already been looted. The guy killed him again. I'm like, okay, first of all, terrible, right? But that mechanic shouldn't exist. That option should not be available. You should not be able to do that kind of stuff. That doesn't make any sense. You can't declare war and then right in the middle of town start just nuking players, and the guards are like, wow, that looked rough. Like, that is not how that works, right? Like,
during that,
mechanics, right? You can fix those kind of things,
right? Yeah, during that war decking, we had a member who'd farmed for 2 hours and lost 75% of all his mats because of people taking advantage of that exploit.
Right,
and they're a crafter. They're not. Hey, so I hate to break it to you, they're not PvPer. You want a PvPer? Come find one of us. Anytime, I will be there. You'll kick my butt because I'm not max yet, but hey, I'll be there. Not some crafter who's farmed for 2 hours, cutting trees and picking flowers. What the heck, man?
Yeah.
Unless they're a mage, because I'll tell you what, I watched.
That's the thing right now.
I watched a mage 2-shot our most geared and best tank at level 25 today, and it was incredibly frustrating for all of us.
That should not be.
It should not be possible for that to happen.
No.
That'll get balanced. There's balance needs.
Right. And balance does need to take place. And yeah, we fully realize that they're still working on stuff. I think the next few weeks we are going to see some insane amount of fixes on this stuff. I think they are not going to let a lot of this stuff go by the wayside. They are going to take the data that they've got, which has got to be a monumentous task.
Oh yeah,
for them to have to go through the amount of data over the holiday is going to be a ton of work for them. But you watch in the next 3 weeks, a lot of these systems are going to start being fixed. And I know there's a lot of frustration out there right now, but I truly, truly believe in what Intrepid is doing. And I think that they're seeing all this stuff happen. Obviously, Steven did, because he came in and wreaked some havoc over the weekend with some people who are exploiting some stuff and just being dicks. They do care. They care about the experience. They know what's on the line. They don't want to see people leave the test. They don't want they don't want bad stuff being said about their game that they can actively get in there and remedy. I think that remedy is going to be taking place over the next few weeks. So have some patience, have some faith. That is where we're at.
Yep.
These systems will get fixed.
Absolutely. Agreed.
Okay, so I got a couple questions for you guys here. And it basically goes down to quality of life. Okay, so one of the struggles that JB has mentioned is that it just feels so different. It feels so different in phase 2 from phase 1. And one of the things that can oftentimes create a change for the positive is quality of life improvements. We all agree that there has to be bug fixes and things like that, but you can also make the experience a little bit better for the testers right now. So JB, I'll go to you first, and I'm going to ask you give me 2 quality of life improvements that you would like to see Ashes of Creation make.
Okay. All right. So a couple that I feel like could align with their vision that do not, and I'll be real rapid fire about it, that I don't feel like are like break the bank and stray from the vision. Number 1, small audio notifications when I receive a whisper.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
Please.
I can't tell you how many, look, this has been a personal high point. How many people are like, Jib's from LoreForged? I'm like, hey, how are you? And they're like, awesome. I would never have seen that whisper had I not had the screen, like if I didn't happen to be looking for it, because they come in quietly. And I'm just like, oh gosh. And there's other people as well, like messaging for guild invites. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I don't want these people to think I'm rude. Please put a mute audio notification in there.
Can you not reply either to that? Do you have to whisper back with their name?
Yes, that's the thing right now.
Oh,
yeah.
That one drives me crazy because then I got to spell out their name right.
Yeah. Yep. We need a /R.
And
Bad.
then a change party icons on the map so they're more distinct and easy to find. Like maybe like Hot Rod Red, like maybe Iron Man Red. I don't know, something that's vibrant, because when you put somebody right now in testing,
tan is not working.
When you put tan icons in a tan desert, it's like they rolled 100 on initiative or stealth, right? Like you can't see it.
They're gone.
It's gone. So I would say 2 of those quality of life would just really, really improve the experience, especially for me. So, anyway, yeah. Sonny, what do you think?
The first one is very easy for me, and it is make the search function in the market stalls actually search for the items you're looking for instead of the description of the stall. Yeah. Like I can't stress this enough that I cannot believe that system passed through any phase of testing, because the entire server is doing this wild workaround where you just type out, you only have 50 characters. You have to type out as many things in your store as you can. So it's like, it should be like the description of my store should be Sonny's bespoke goblets and widgets. And instead it's cheap willow, ruby, granite, slate, oak, ash, And I'm just like, just for Christ's sake, it's a terrible system. It's a terrible system. So fix it so that you're searching for the items. And then you have to search through 9 pages looking for copper because you typed in copper and it's gone to everyone that describes copper, and half of them don't have copper.
No, they don't.
Yeah. If there were to be some type of drop down so you can search for medium armor, one-handed weapons, two-handed weapons, like stuff like that would be awesome. And I'm sure it's coming, you guys. I'm sure it's coming. But right now is hard AF to search for one thing that you're looking for in the game. And God forbid you spell it wrong.
Oh.
You know what I mean? It's, oh my God. Yeah, I agree there. I think for me, definitely the /R for reply to whisper is fantastic because when you're getting a tell and you're in the middle of a fight, like a quick reply would be super awesome. And it's very clunky right now when you're trying to reply to people. I think for me, the quality of life things revolve around guilds. And again, I know that I say this on repeat probably every single week, but the guild interface functions need just some basic love. I want to know what happens if I happen to leave the guild as the guild leader. What does it dissolve the guild, or does it go to the next? Does it go to the next best person based on shoe size or IQ? Or some other, I don't know.
Is there even that? I thought we were all guild leaders. As soon as you join a guild, you're in for all of it.
Right. Everybody can invite right now, which is something that is, it's difficult. It's been difficult for us a little bit because we maintain a spreadsheet on our members. Not with like personal information, but just so we know that who you are and we know who you are and whether or not you're supposed to be in our guild. I mean, sometimes we run across a name and we're like, oh crap. And now we got to go look. So when we have willy-nilly, anybody being able to invite anybody, it makes it a little bit difficult. I need to know when a person's last login was. Was their last login on day 1 and they logged in and couldn't get through Lionhold and said, F this, I'm out? Because I'm going to dump you and make room for somebody else who wants to be in our guild and wants to be active. I need to know that. I need to know, for the love of God, how many members are in my current guild, because I have to count every single time we're getting close. I have to count every member so I know whether or not I have room in the guild. I get it. I can just try and invite that person if we're full.
He's only got 10 fingers and 10 toes, and it's a 30-person guild.
Yes, and math
doesn't work. It just doesn't work out.
It was not one of my most positive traits when I was in school. So
I do the numbers.
So I think those things, just being able to sort members, being able to make other members officers, and being able to give them some permissions for guild invites and stuff, I think would be really, really good quality of life things at this stage. Like, I get it. We're testing and those things are in progress, but man, would that be super helpful to be able to have some semblance of guild management admin functionality. Please and thank you.
Well said. Well, I have no doubt it's going to get better, right? They want it to get better. Things are going to get better. And, the Befallen Forge, we didn't get really a chance to talk about that. We'll probably talk about that on the next episode. That is just real quick, stunning. Just stunning. And we'll elaborate more on that on the next episode. But
I'm going to say something. You know me, I'm going to say something. I've lived in there for the last probably 4 days. And that place is bad ass.
That's why you reek of coal dust. Oh my gosh,
dude! It's not right yet. The whole place is not right yet. I mean, there's a lot of work that needs to be done in there. But oh my God, from a visual standpoint, it is super dwarven. It is polished. It's gorgeous. And the pure scale of that place. We made it to some areas last night in that place that blew my mind. So for an open world dungeon, where you're having to compete against other guilds and stuff for bosses and all the stuff, it's awesome. The mob training sucks, but That place is really shaping up to be something pretty kick-ass. And I'm telling you, like, it sparked my addiction for the game again, is going into that forge and getting to do a little bit of exploration and finding different spots to grind and stuff. It's been awesome. So thank you.
Agreed. Well, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. This was episode 70. We're in a new decade, as we say here on the show, just to confuse Sonny. And if you enjoyed your time here, let us know how we're doing, whether it's your podcast app of choice or YouTube in the comments section below. We certainly do appreciate it. You can always email us, LoreForgedHQ@gmail.com. Sonny, Mr. Ravencourt, kill people with wolves.
Sorry I'm late. You can go to the website, and that is LoreForged.com, which has a link to all of our stuff, and that will take you also to the YouTubes, where we have lots of YouTube content, and Twitch. Twitch is becoming a real powerhouse for our content. We really enjoy Twitch. I've been having some streams that have been a lot of fun, lots of economic talk, lots of testing, going to different nodes, looking at markets, things like that. Got my hands into animal husbandry. That was something.
Oh man, did you wash your hands afterwards?
I did. That is dirty work. Let me tell you, breeding wolves and cows.
Yeah, you got to stick your hands into places.
It's real. It is real. And remember the movie City Slickers? I feel like I'm like 100 years old,
Yes.
but like,
Yes.
I am Billy Crystal, dude.
Yeah.
It also reminds me of Jurassic Park when she has those gloves all the way up her arms and her hands are in the poop.
This was not in the brochure.
That's a big pile of. Anyways, also Patreon. Patreon has been a lot of fun for us lately. We have we've started to use some of the free side of Patreon also by writing some articles and things like that. I wrote one. JB got on that same train. I think I actually wrote a couple, and it's a lot of fun for us. You can also, if you want to be a member there, we have a couple different tiers, and we have some good stuff. The C3 is continues to get iterations, and that's been a lot of fun. I'm sort of working on trying to figure out what I'm going to do next with that right now. But that's it for Patreon. Cash.
Friends, follow us on social media. You can follow us on X at LoreForgedHQ. You can follow us on our Instagram page at LoreForgedHQ. And if you're interested in joining the Black Talon Trading Company, which is growing day by day, and pretty much from word of mouth, which is fantastic. We're getting friends of friends and family members of friends and husbands and wives, and it's just a damn good place to game. So if you're looking for a chill community that is still dipping our toes in every single aspect of Ashes of Creation and actively playing, like I can't even explain how addicted we've been. I have gotten less sleep in the last week and a half than I have in a long time gaming, and I am not alone. It's
No,
like
you're not.
late night, 2:00 in the morning, and we are grinding. So we're putting work in. So come and join us if you're looking for an adult community with a bunch of respectful people who are not dicks. How's that for
That's one way.
We're not putting that on a t-shirt.
Oh man. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much. We love you. And we'll see you right here next week on LoreForged. Take care, everybody.
Peace, love, and honeybees.
Safe travels, adventures.